So team, hello, have you gone through the last video which I've sent you?
Yeah, I've gone through it.
You've gone through, right? So what was the intake then? What did you understand? Somit, what did you understand? Hope you have gone through the video. Somit, I guess you're on mute mode.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Sorry.
No problem.
Basically, this video is showing about some technical features, right?
Okay.
There is some requirements
Mm-hmm.
and some documents like required BRD. Actually, I'm not sure about BRD and FRD.
Okay. Okay. No problem.
Okay. And some about some technical. Simply, you can say that basically this video is showing about the technical terms about the business analyst, right?
Okay. Okay. So as far as BR and FID is concerned, team, we are going to have probably the next week, I guess. Next week, as per the schedule, we're gonna discuss. So Ravi, what was your intake then?
Okay, so my intake is that the previous video summarizes what are the roles and responsibility of a BA.
Okay.
So when you are introducing that what you have done, you can use this template as to introduce yourself that you have performed this activities.
Okay.
And you can fine tune it to meet your job description, but mostly it is a template or a summary of what a BA do in general.
Okay. Fine. So I appreciate you people. I mean, simultaneously, I request you people to make a note. That would be grateful, right? Whenever you are attending the interview, that would be obviously that would be a plus point for you guys. So coming to today agenda, we are going to start the process called as the Scrum. Today we are going to start the process called as the Scrum. Till on the first of our class, we have discussed on the so far the definition, the roles and responsibilities of a business analyst, and how the software development lifecycle. Nothing but the definition of software development lifecycle is nothing but the transformation of an idea into a product, right? So the transformation of an idea into a product. So that would have 8 stages, right? Starting from the initiation to the deployment or the live production, whatever. Fine. So this constitutes of the 8 areas wherein first initiation phase, the sales team would involve. They would get the business for your easy understanding. Then the next stage is planning, wherein the PMO would they would be allotting a project manager. Then the project manager is free to have his own team in order to ensure the success for the implementation of the project. And in this stage itself, the BA also would be hired, right? So what is that? At that point of in this planning stage, wherein the business analyst would be given the product training known as the 1 minute. So BA would be given the product training. That training is called, what is that called as? BA would be given the product training during the planning phase. What is that called as? Ravi, Somit, any idea?
Like they'll be given
what document in other words?
FRD?
No, FRD. Because FRD, it is too far away, right? Still we are in the planning stage itself.
Okay.
BA would be given the product training during this planning phase. What is that called? What is that document is called? So I do agree, team. I understand that you've been busy with your regular timings, work hours, but you need to dedicate at least an hour. Okay, fine. That document is called as the gap document. Got my point? So product.
As is, and
No, that is not as is. I'm talking about the only the planning stage. In as is, I'll tell you. I'll show you. In planning stage, the business analyst would be given the gap document, right? If you were to see. Hope you're able to see my screen.
yes.
So business analyst, because why I'm stressing is nothing but this is a 10% interview question. Okay, that's the reason. So have you ever given the gap document? What is your understanding or what was your take? Okay, they would be asking you. So after this planning stage, we are going to have a requirement gathering. At this stage wherein you will be knowing more about the as is process. What do you mean by as is process? Somit, what do you mean by as is process?
Yeah, basically this video is showing about the project management, like.
Okay, I'm asking you, what do you mean by as is process?
Process. Just a
As
second.
is process, yes. Ravi, any idea? What do you mean by as is process?
Yeah, we discussed it other day that as is shows what are the current features of a particular product and what is the current functionality. We discussed the example of Paytm, like the current as is process that users has to scan the QR code and then they have to make the payment.
Okay.
But if they are, and it goes to wallet, but if the new functionality is that instead of going to wallet, it should go to their bank account, like how it happens in a Google Pay.
Okay.
So from as is to a like where they want to be, like that is something that like to be.
So as is nothing but, for your easy understanding, it is nothing but the current process which the stakeholder is following. The current process which the stakeholder is following, that is called as the as is. Okay. Fine.
So I have one question. Can end user be a stakeholder as well?
Sorry?
Can end user, target customers will be a stakeholder as well?
Yes, he would be the stakeholder for that client. For our client, he would be the stakeholder.
Okay.
The definition of stakeholder is nothing but the actual definition is nothing but he is the person who gets affected by the project. That might be a positive effect or the negative effect. You can consider the end user also a stakeholder. Yes.
Okay, so in case of Ola cabs, who will be the stakeholder? The cab driver and the customer?
Yes. For Ola cabs, as far as Ola cabs is concerned, my cab driver would be my stakeholder.
And customer, the one who booked the cab?
Who booked the cab? Who
Okay.
booked the cab? Actually, it depends. For example, for me, Ola cab owner is the stakeholder because I'm going to give him the money. Fine. In order to ensure my smooth drive, in order to reach my destination. In perspective of the Ola driver, he would be, according to him, I would be the stakeholder because he is going to pay me the money.
Okay.
Got my point? Sure.
Yeah.
So can we move ahead to today's agenda? Yes. So guys, still yesterday or in the very first session, we have learned about what exactly how the work does, how the workflow would be there. The workflow is nothing but then how can we transform? I told you, right? SDLC, software development lifecycle, is nothing but the transformation of idea into a product. Fine. So how a product would emerge? Right? For example, if we were to laying a house, if we were to constructing a house, if I were to have 100 square yards, okay, the open plot, wherein I have an idea, there's nothing but I need to construct an house. Fine. So for that, what I need to do, I need to follow some process. The process is nothing but, first of all, in that open plot, I need to have a basement first. Then after that, the roof. Then followed by the rooms, according to whatever the whatever you want to have. You want to have a single bedroom or double bedroom. Fine. This is the general procedure in order to construct a house. In the same way, coming to software development, we also require to have a process, how to build that process. So for that, we need to follow one methodology called as the Scrum methodology. Fine, got my point. So we need to, in order to build a product, we need to follow the method, how to build a product. So if that methodology is called as the Scrum methodology. So what is the definition of Scrum? What is the definition of Scrum? So it is nothing but it is a framework. It is a framework which help the teams, which help your team to develop a product. It is a method, a framework or a method. It is a method which help your team to develop a product. That is called as the Scrum process. Fine, got the definition? Any doubts? Yes, chat 1 minute. Okay. So it is the method wherein your team, your project team, from now on, since till yesterday we've been discussing about the project team. Effective now we are going to use the terminology as the Scrum team. Fine. So why do we require this process? Why do we require this Scrum methodology? Because we need to, in order to develop a complex requirement, because every requirement is not the same. Every requirement might not be the same. It is unique. Every requirement is unique. I do understand, for example, Somit has worked in his experience for one company. So he has got the login page requirement or the home screen building requirement. Now he has joined the other company. In that also, same, he has also got the home screen building of home page requirement. So you cannot consider as the requirement is the same, because according to, in this previous experience, his project in his previous company, the requirement might be different. Though the building of a home page, though the functionality is the same, like building of the home page, though it is the same, but the requirements would be different. For example, in his previous organization, wherein he only has the plain home page, that's it. In this current organization, he might be having the home page with more features added. So in that way, we can treat it as, all the requirements are not the same. Requirements are all, obviously it would be unique. So for this, that's the reason. If because every requirement is a complex in nature. Every requirement is complex in nature. Why it is complex in nature? Because till now, till this phase, we've been visualizing about that. Till this phase, what is the first basic duty of a business analyst? It is nothing but he would be visualizing, right? He would be visualizing. So until unless it transforms into a product, he cannot know about that product. So in order to transform into that product, the Scrum is used. So now we are going to use some terminologies specified to Scrum. Now we are going to use some specified terminology for Scrum. First one is called as the sprint. So what do you mean by sprint? Sprint is nothing but time required to complete one iteration. What do you mean by sprint? Sprint is nothing but time required to complete iteration. Okay. So what do you mean by iteration? For example, I'm going to build, my project is going to build a login home page. For any, let's take an example that I need to build a home page for APSRTC, Andhra Pradesh State Road Transport, nothing but government buses. Okay, I'm working for that. Let's assume I'm working for that project. Okay, fine. In that, I have taken down the requirements. Okay, what are the requirements? Nothing but, they want more features adding to it. The government of Andhra Pradesh wants more features. They want to have more good features added in their respective homepage. Fine. So for this, I would be jotting down. In that sense, I need to, in order to break down my work, I'll be using the intervals of time, that is called as the sprint. Are you able to understand? Ravi, Somit? Somit? Shobit, are you on? Fine. Sprint is nothing but the time required to complete one iteration. Okay. So generally it would be of 2 to 4 weeks. Generally it would be of 2 to 4 weeks. But in interview point of view, you can say we are following a 2-week sprint. In interview, you can say we are following a 2-week sprint. So definitely you're gonna be asked with this question, but make sure to tell this that it is a 2-week sprint. Can I move ahead? Can I move ahead, team?
If it needs some more,
Okay.
we'll be identifying if the story needs some more refinement. If it's, if it needs some more refinement, it will be on the sprint backlog, and we can review it later. But sprint planning is basically a kickoff meeting where the entire Scrum team sits together. They analyze, they go through each and every stories, or we can say issue from the Jira board generally, and then they allocate it to the resource also, or then they generally discuss about that particular sprint stories in nutshell.
Generally, have you overcome any challenges during this phase?
Yeah, mostly the requirements are not clear, or we are not able to give the exact estimate like how much story point it should be. Based on experience, we can give estimate, but if it is new story, then we cannot give how much time it should take.
Okay. Obviously, the Scrum Master would be in, right? So he would be taking care of.
In our team, there is no Scrum Master. Basically, no Scrum Master as such.
Okay.
They are the people from development team only, and they take it directly.
Then how would you follow the protocols of the Scrum? It's very hard to master it, right? So without Scrum Master, then how is the work going on? Because he would be the person who would be writing, he would be creating the sprint burn down chart. Do you have that actually, or else just for the sake you are just proceeding?
No, the sprint burn down chart is there. But it's managed by the dev. Like a sprint burn down chart generally managed by dev team only in any project, and only Scrum Master basically they takes the daily Scrum and other Scrum ceremonies.
Okay.
But we do not do any sprint planning as such, like properly, like how it should happen in agile team. But yeah, in my previous teams, I have performed the sprint planning properly. But current team, like it's very small team. The team size is 2 or 3. So what happens that and all the requirement comes from the US team. So they create the Jira board. There is one product owner, Mike. He creates the Jira board and directly he assigns the stories.
Okay. Fine. Appreciate. Thanks. So coming to the point, as I'm reiterating once again, we have four Scrum events. The first one being this planning. So we need to plan that what need to be done in the next sprint. Sprint is nothing but the time box event for the what work to be done for the next 2 weeks. 2 weeks is nothing but the 10 days, right? In other words. So we are going to discuss on what the things that need to be taken into the consideration for the next 2 weeks. So that is generally this sprint planning method. This would be conducted at the beginning of each sprint. So probably that, for example, if you were to start the sprint on Monday, so generally we are going to have this meet on the Friday. Fine. Today being Friday, today I'm going to have a sprint planning meeting. From the day after tomorrow, from Monday onwards, we are going to start a new sprint. So the attendees are product owner, development team, BA. So the project team or the Scrum team, in other words, they would sit together and plan for it. So how we have told that nothing but the estimations would be done during this. Obviously that would be, if you were to have the Scrum Master, that would be well and good. So if you have to be, for in your example, you're saying that developers are there. Fine. So if you are to have if you want to follow proper Scrum protocols, then the suggestible is that Scrum Master would be there. Fine. So we all sit together. And have a chat for what is the work to be done what need to be done in the next sprint. So as per Scrum Book, the maximum duration is that in order to have a sprint planning meeting is 4 hours. Fine, 4 hours we need to have. So it depends on company to company. Fine, and also the user stories and obviously the estimation part. So maximum duration would be of 4 hours, because upon my experience, the interviewer also would be asking about, what is the duration, what was the challenges. So you need to face that. Whatever you said, that is absolutely fine. So you need to focus more on the challenging part for each and every meeting, right? For each and every event, sorry. So during sprint planning meeting, what are the challenges you have faced? And it all depends upon the way how you have overcome it. Yeah, you said that from your experience, you said that as there is no dedicated Scrum Master, we could able to cope up. So this would obviously throw some light during your interview process. Make sense?
Yeah.
Fine. So as soon as we have completed a sprint, the first event sprint planning. So let's assume the work has started. From Monday, the work has started. So it is, I told you, so sprint is nothing but 10 days event, right? So from Monday, the work has started. So I told you, why are we using this process? Why are we using this process? In order to build a complex requirement. Because every person in the team, every person at the team, what they are going to build the product, obviously that would be new to them itself. Being very new, being new, as they are going to deploy a new product. Obviously it is that challenges would be coming. In order to discuss that, we are going to have a daily scrum meet. For this, the duration would be of 15 minutes. Generally it would be of 15 minutes. So each and everyone in the team, the team would be discussing on it. What there are three discussions. There are three lines of discussion wherein they would be discussing. Those are what been achieved, and what to do today, what is the work to be done today, and what yesterday we have done. So these are the three things they are going to discuss in an open forum, obviously that. So I told you, Scrum is for the cross-functional team. Scrum is a cross-functional. So everyone need to participate, and everyone would tell, they would open to share their ideas. Fine. So for example, let's take, so there are two developers in the team. So your project is to migrate from one resource to the cloud. Let's assume from one resource to the cloud they are moving. So one developer is entirely new to this cloud technology. He's not technically sound, wherein the other developer is technically sound. So it is obvious that the other person should have some assistance, right? So for that, in order to have the assistance itself, what is lagging behind, so we are going to have a daily scrum meet. Fine. In order to know where are we lagging, and how to do that work. Are we progressing well or not? Fine. Got my point? Understood?
Hello.
Yes. Got my point?
Yeah. So here, I mean, this is very ideal scenario, but what happens that sometimes, teams are evolving and they, like, they are new people are joining up and team is changing. Or so how to tackle such scenario, like, as a BA come Scrum Master, what we have to highlight, like, how to maintain the consistency basically, and
Yes.
how to challenge others if they are not following the Scrum ceremonies.
Yes. So the Scrum Master is here to ensure the process goes on well, right? So that's the hardcore job of a Scrum Master. So coming to the point, for example, if the new person, the current person, if they already in the person who is already in the team, he might left the organization. Let's assume. So new person comes in. So he need to understand, first of all, being a Scrum Master, you need to play a role, like, make him to understand, first of all, the the role of that Scrum. Fine. The functionalities, how that run. Okay, he first of all, you need to make that understand. And then after, he need to look into that sense, like, you need to explain, the first of all, the criticalities of a project. What is this project all about? So that's the reason we are going to have a daily Scrum, right? So someone should take the initiative in order to move forward. So some of the other people would be helping them, how to develop that, what is this all about. So in that manner, being a BA also, it's his duty to explain to a newcomer or a developer or tester, whoever might be, in order to help him out. Okay, so BA should take some time, should have dedicated time in order to explain him. Got my point?
I have one question, sir. Who will create the stories, Jira stories? I mean, who is dedicated person? Is it the responsibility of all the team members, or only BA should create the
No,
Jira
no, it's
story?
not the BA. Sometimes product owner also would create. Sometimes the BS would create.
So, what is the exact role of BA in the Scrum team? Because in a Scrum team, except a Scrum Master, everyone is treated as developer, right?
Yes. Okay. Yes. Obviously. Yes.
There is no particular term called as tester, developer. Everyone is a developer in a Scrum team.
Yes.
So, what will BA do in exactly in a Scrum team?
So BA, right? Sometimes BA would be writing the user stories along with the acceptance criteria. Okay. Yes, if it's technically sound, for example, generally, if in some projects, if a BA were to work as a product owner, product owner is nothing but the person who is technically sound, right? So he would be writing the acceptance criteria. So if he's not technically sound, BA would be stop writing only till the user stories itself. So if he's also acting as a product owner, wherein he also need to have write the acceptance criteria also.
Okay.
Yes, but it is not confined actually. It all depends upon the experience generally the BA carry. For example, if he's very new, if he's only well versed with the business processes, then he won't be writing anything, because if you were to write what is the definition of a user story, it is nothing but the what exactly the feature, right? What exactly we are going to build. Fine, if he's not well versed in it. If he's well versed with the project, with the agile terminology, then he can go ahead and write the user stories. So mainly, I can classify into three types. One is the very starting basic business analyst who doesn't know how to write user stories and who doesn't know, what is meant by acceptance criteria as such. So he would be tracking the project where it is, and he would communicate to the stakeholder. This is one type of business analyst. The second one is, he's purely a functional business analyst. He can write the user stories. Fine. So he will be writing the user stories, and then, along with the product owner, he would be assisting the product owner during the acceptance criteria. That's it. So the third type is the BA would also act as a product owner. Okay, not the proxy product owner. He himself is a product owner and also acting as a business analyst. So he would be writing the user stories, and also he would be writing the acceptance criteria. It depends upon that, upon the knowledge which the concerned business analyst has in the project. So my question is that in these three categories, which categories fall in with Ravi? Under which category Ravi is fallen?
Is this for me, this question?
Absolutely, yes.
Can you repeat your question, sir?
So I've told you the three categories, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Of these three categories, in which category Ravi falls? Have you heard about my three categories which I've told you now?
I mean, in this slide.
No. I've just told you that, for example, if the company has hired, there are three types of business analysts in the Agile manifesto, okay, in Agile process. First business analyst is nothing but he's entirely new. He only knows about the business constraints. He only
Yeah.
he only knows how to follow the business processes. Okay.
Correct.
Then at this time, the only the business analyst would track how the product is emerging. Okay, what is the status? He will communicate only to the client. This is one type of business analyst role in the Agile. Okay, in Scrum methodology. The second type of business analyst is nothing but he's a purely a functional guy. He is purely a functional guy. He only writes to know how to write the user stories. Third one is he acts as a business analyst comes product owner, wherein along with writing the user stories, he would also be writing the acceptance criteria. Fine. So these are three types of business analyst in general. Let's understand in this way. So in which category Ravi falls in?
The third one.
The third one. So you also
Yes.
write the acceptance criteria too?
Yes.
Okay, fine. So when we move ahead, probably on Monday, when we discuss about user stories and acceptance criteria, I want your more insight, man. Fine. Are you ready
Yeah.
for that?
Yeah.
So can we move ahead? Somit, are
Yeah,
you on?
my
Yes.
question is.
Yes, you are audible.
Hello.
Yes, Ravi.
In the previous slides, you showed us RACI matrices, right? Or
Okay.
RAM. That, but in Scrum, that matrix is not used, right? Because that
Yeah, that is
matrix,
not used. That is not used.
that matrix actually basically, that matrix is not used. But if something goes wrong, they start pinpointing that who did that, did that, what.
Yeah.
So that matrix is not used as such. But like if any requirement does not meet, then they say that who mentioned the acceptance criteria. It's like pointing the fingers.
Absolutely,
Right?
yes.
That RACI metrics were designed to point the fingers only, because you will be designated persons doing what you are supposed to do.
Okay.
So how to overcome such challenges where you have mentioned an acceptance criteria, but due to certain reason it is not matching with the exact requirement which user was accepting. There were some miscommunication happened, maybe.
Okay.
So can we handle it via giving a sprint demo at the end of each sprint to the client?
We are going to have one, I want to park your question, like, on Monday when we were to discuss about user stories and acceptance criteria, we can get into detail.
Okay. And you talked about the sprint is all about iterations. Okay.
Yes.
One sprint represents one iteration. So Scrum has two components. One is agile Scrum, that it should be incremental and it should be iterative.
Iterative, yes.
So what does actually in layman term, what does iteration means? What is incremental means?
Okay, fine. So let me complete this next itself is that incremental and iteration. So if we were to complete the Scrum events, definitely we're going to discuss about incremental and iteration.
Okay. And how to challenge the team or your superiors when they're not following the system? They said that no, there's no need of this. Directly we can go.
Okay. So your question is how to challenge the team when they are not following it, right?
Yes.
So basically, that's when you are stepping yourself as a Scrum Master. So that's your duty, basically, right? In general. So it is not the duty. And as far as the Scrum is concerned, he is the master, Scrum Master. So let's assume you are stepping your shoes as a Scrum Master. So how to challenge them when they are not following the practices? It is obvious. It is obvious that every company doesn't follow as per the Scrum box. They to be honest, to be precise, no company would follow even though they have dedicated Scrum Master, no company would follow the exact Scrum events or Scrum methodology, right? So it is nothing but until unless you being a Scrum Master, you need to make him understand. You need to make him understand because you are building a complex requirement, or else, in other words, you are building a requirement. Until unless you follow the protocols, first of all, what you get into listening mode first. Though you are a Scrum Master, get into listening mode first. What is the methodology or what is the way they're gonna build that? What is the way they're gonna build that? Let them express. Let them be expressive. Fine. Then afterwards, after hearing that, it's your duty being a Scrum Master. You need to make them to understand, because by your terms, by whatever you are going to say, can we really build a product? Because already we do have a predefined process called as the Scrum. If we were to follow some protocols, wherein at that point of time itself, wherein we can deliver it. First of all, as a Scrum Master, you must be more in listening mode, because your ideology and their ideology might be different. End of the it is till now, it is in the visualization part itself, right? So until unless we get the job done, the development is started, you never ever know how the work is going to be done. You got my point?
Yeah.
Make them to understand about the process. That's the job of a Scrum Master, right?
But how to command authority as a Scrum Master?
Because command the authority as a Scrum Master is nothing but, first of all, you need to know, you need to be technically more sound.
Okay.
You need to be technically sound. For example, you need to also act as a you also need to act as you need to know whole and soul of a product, of that product which you are going to build. Sometimes you also need to act, until you step into shoes of as an architect. What is that UI? What is that UI you are going to prepare? What is the software you are going to indulge? If you are well versed with that itself, you can have a good command over the team. But I'm not saying no one is the head for the Scrum team. Everyone are the head, right? You understand that, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Because nothing but according to you, if you are to have a command on that Scrum Mastership, is nothing but you should know in and out about that product which you are going to build. Obviously, but uncertain is that product owner would be knowing. But if you were to have the command, but for example, I'll tell you, your team comprises of 5 members, 3 developers and 2 testers. Fine. You should ensure that as per the timelines are you going to deliver. For example, you have taken one sprint. You have taken a sprint. Fine. You have given 5 user stories. 5 user stories for each for 5 members. So you make sure that whether that would be completed or not. And if they could not able to complete, what is the problem they are facing? Fine. If you were to give them a scope that if they are facing any challenges, if you were to give them the scope that to overcome them, then obviously you can have a command on it, right?
Yeah.
Because when I told you, the requirement itself is a complex one. Everyone are new to that. They don't know how to build. Obviously, there would be n number of challenges, discussions would be held. You create a pathway. Then how to overcome it? Then obviously you can have the command.
Okay.
Got my point?
So in day-to-day activity, apart from organizing the Scrum ceremony, because this will last just for 15 minutes, what are the other roles of Scrum Master? Will he be talk with product owners always? Like for example, 8 hours a day I have to work, and I'm a Scrum Master. Apart from this Scrum ceremony, what will be my roles?
So we have separate roles session. Probably that would be on Thursday or Friday. Wednesday or next Thursday. We can discuss more about the Scrum Master, the product owner roles and responsibilities.
Okay. Okay. Please go continue. I do not want to.
You could able to view my screen, right?
Oh.
Fine. So my intention is that I appreciate your being proactive, I appreciate that. But let's go one by one.
Yeah, sure.
Fine. Are you facing any issue as such? Tell me.
No.
Is this the place? Can we go?
We can go.
Fine.
I'm fine.
So apart from the role, as for let us confine for today agenda itself. Fine. So today agenda is Scrum events. So we can discuss ample of time during about the Scrum event. If you have any doubts, if you want to discuss, if you want to throw some light, you are free to share. So this Scrum event, first one we have discussed about the sprint planning. Second one is daily Scrum. Third one would be the sprint review. So as soon as we complete it, let's assume today is the day 10. The sprint time frame is 10 days, right? So we have started from Monday. Monday is going to be, let's assume, August 23rd. So then what will be the 10 days from Monday? It might be, it would be of 1st or 2nd. Let's consider 2nd September as the 10th day of the sprint. So in this sprint reviewing is nothing but, whatever the job being done, whatever we have developed. So we need to show it to our client. We need to present to our client. So I appreciate that generally, this should be shown by the product owner himself. Generally, that would be showcased, presented by product owner. So my sincere request is that, at the time of interview, you can say that, I used to handle the sprint review session. You can say this. So it is nothing but whatever being the job done, you are going to give a review, give the presentation to the client. Okay, the duration is maximum 2 hours. Because it might last only for 15 minutes or half an hour also. Why? Because it is nothing but, from the past 10 days, what we have done the work, we are just showcasing it to the client. So okay, so after your review, after your review is done, client would be giving you a sign off. Client would be giving you a sign off whether whether it is feasible or not. Sometimes the client would be saying that, hey, no, it is not at all appreciated. Why can't we move ahead with some more features? Fine. So he might, let's assume he's not at all satisfied. Okay, again we'll be running. Again, we are going to take this as prioritization, and we need to accommodate in the next sprint based upon the priority. So if the client is fine, is fine for whatever the work being done for the past 10 days, if the client is told that, the positive feedback, positive review in other words, then you can move ahead. So this is generally the sprint review meet. Any doubt?
I have doubt in this sprint review.
Okay.
So, I mean, sprint planning is before the start of next sprint, we do that. That is clear. And
Okay.
this is time box event of 4 hours. For example, my sprint is starting on Monday.
Okay.
Or Wednesday, Tuesday or Wednesday, then I'll be doing it maximum by Friday. Okay, generally they do it on Friday.
Okay.
And then they discuss the stories of, and it can happen in the middle of the sprint as well, but it
Okay.
happens before the start of next sprint, right?
Yes.
So that the team is aware that what they're going to pick on the next sprint, and what are how many story are there.
Yes.
Basically. So each sprint, you said that it will be for 2 weeks. So
yes,
how many sprints we can take as part of one release? How we decide that? That's my question. Like, will it be like a 4 or 5 sprints, or like, for example, if the release cycle is for say 1.5 months,
okay,
then how many sprints we should take in such case?
It depends upon the team size actually. For example, if you have only one developer, okay, if you have only one tester, it is a very big project. If you have 5 developers, if you have 5 testers, it depends upon the complexity of the project.
Okay.
So I got to tell you wherein we are going to have a one project. Okay, as soon as we are clear, we are done with the slides. During that part of time, we can discuss in the live mode.
Okay.
We can have a real sense of making a project.
Okay. And in the sprint review, will the client also participate directly with us?
Sprint review, yes, obviously that, whatever we have done the work, generally the product owner would present it. Yeah, we need to present it to the client itself, right?
Okay, so who will participate? From one business owner will
Who are the
participate, right?
participants? The Scrum team are the participants. Product owner, Scrum master, development team, business analyst.
No, from business side. From business side, who will participate?
Business owners would be there. Project sponsors also, they would participate.
Okay.
Yes.
And as a Scrum Master, we have to just facilitate the event. We do not have to
Yes,
demo.
you need to facilitate. Yes.
Okay.
You need to facilitate. You need to ensure this process is going smoothly or not. That's the hardcore job of Scrum Master.
Okay.
Yes. Fine. Are you done?
Yeah.
So the fourth event is retrospection. The fourth event is retrospection. So here, so we have done. Sorry.
So the first is sprint planning. Second one is
Daily
sprint.
Scrum.
Okay, daily Scrum.
Second event is daily Scrum. In other words, we can call it as a daily meeting, right? Daily meet.
Daily sync up.
Or a Scrum meet, whatever. Which lasts only for maximum of 15 minutes. That's it.
Yeah.
Okay. Why we've been following it is nothing but not to be transparent. You have to be transparent. Okay. We are going to have this daily Scrum. Got my point?
Yeah.
Fine. So now we are in the event called as a retrospection. Now we are going to have an event as a retrospection. So tell me, from the past half an hour, we've been discussing about these events. So if you were to see each and every event, that is going to last for at least, I've told you, as far as sprint planning is concerned, we are going to have a 4 hours. Fine. And daily Scrum, that's obviously that we are going to have a 15-minute. In review, we are going to have 2 hours. So do you really think is really the day is enough by having all these meets? As a BA perspective, I'm talking about. In spite of attending these, for example, today's Friday, I need to have a sprint planning meeting, which lasts at least for, let's take on an average, it take at least 2.5 or 3 hours. This typical Friday, okay, 3 hours. And daily Scrum, that lasts for 15 minutes. 3 hours, 15 minutes is done. So this Friday, I also give a review to my client. So that is obviously, though, let's take an example, it is of 1 hour. So for nearly 4.5 hours I have spent, right? So I'm left with maximum of 3 or 2 or 4, 5, 3 or 4 hours maximum. So do you really think, is it really sufficient for the business analyst in a day?
So it's like we are business analyst come a Scrum Master, right?
Yeah.
So we are acting as a both business analyst and Scrum Master for the team, right?
Yes. Let's assume.
Okay.
Because if you are going to don 2 hats, for example, if you are going to act as a business analyst and also a Scrum Master, then you need to manage. Then I believe 8 hours is not at all necessary, because you need to have the work as a business analyst. You need to take the roles and responsibilities, ownership of that business, and as part of a business analyst job, and as part of a Scrum Master job is concerned, you need to facilitate, you need to ensure your team members are working, adhering to that process or not. So you need to don 2 hats, right? So do you really think that in a day 8 hours is fine?
Yeah, it is actually less.
Yes, obviously it is less, because we can overcome many challenges, right? For example, in your example itself, let's assume a new person has joined the team. Fine. Being a business analyst, you need to make them to understand the business process, right? The product or project which you are going to develop, the product which you are going to develop. Okay, you need to explain him as a part of a business analyst. Then as a part of Scrum Master, you need to ensure whether if he is facing any challenges or not. You need to be, in other words, you need to be a torch bearer to overcome that, to make him to overcome that. So what my sincere suggestion is that, act as a proxy, get yourself as a business analyst. You can express yourself as I've acted as a proxy scrum master. Don't express yourself as I'm a business analyst come scrum master, because donning two hats is really, I cannot say it is impossible, but it is a tough task.
So primarily we should apply for business analyst or scrum
Exactly.
master.
My suggestion is that get in yourself enrolled as a business analyst itself.
Business analyst, right?
Processes. First of all, know the business process.
Okay.
Then you can act as you gain the experience, then you can act as for the next level, you can get into scrum master role.
Okay.
Until you don't know about the business processes to be followed, then I really think that doesn't make any sense, running running a scrum team. Fine, got my point.
Correct.
Fine, it's up to you, because the ball is in your court. What my suggestion is that, upon my experience I've been telling you, then it's your team, then it's your choice. You please decide.
Yeah, that we will discuss later, sir. Right now we can go ahead.
Fine. So the fourth one is retrospection, the sprint retrospection. So after the review is done, so why we are following this process? It is nothing but, daily we are going to face the challenges. Daily we are going to face the challenges. So in order to eradicate during the next phase, open it. For that we need to have a retrospection. See, the whole scrum team would sit, the whole scrum team would be sitting together, and they would be having a discussion that, what about our experiences in the last sprint. This discussion is called nothing but the sprint retrospective bit. So what are the challenges we have faced? What are the challenges we faced? So any suggestion, because I told you scrum team is a cross-functional, and it is a transparent. Everyone can participate and they can express themselves. So that's the reason we are going to have a retrospection meet. So generally the duration is, it would last for 2 hours. Generally the duration is 2 hours. So after the sprint review meeting itself, no matter whether the client has decided is a negative feedback or the positive feedback, we need to follow this protocol. We need to follow this event. Fine, got my point. You need to get the clarity that no matter during the sprint review stage, the client has given the positive feedback or the negative feedback. In other words, go ahead or to make some changes. So irrespective of that, we are going to have a retrospection. So what went wrong? What are the challenges we have faced? We are going to discuss in an open forum along with the team. Why we are going to have this retrospective is nothing but because at least in the next sprint, we can overcome that. We cannot commit that same mistake. You can, of course, you can commit a new mistake, but you cannot repeat the same mistake. That's the reason we are going to have a sprint retrospection meeting. Got my point?
Yeah.
So my suggestion is that whenever you are attending an interview, you please be smart that, I have acted as a proxy scrum master and I used to conduct the scrum events. Though I was a BA, so I was proactive. Okay. I learned new things. Okay, so with the help of my scrum master, I've acted as a proxy scrum master. I used to conduct scrum events. So you can tell about, what was your role during sprint planning meeting? What was your role during daily scrum? And the same, what was your role in sprint review and sprint retrospective?
Correct.
So my thing is that, are you people are fine with the scrum event, with the discussion today?
Yeah, I'm good with it.
So Amit, I totally understand this is entirely new. It would take some time. Don't worry about that. So I'll be sharing. I'll be sharing in the YouTube. Okay, you can view. Tomorrow is any which way. Tomorrow weekend. There is an holiday, My sincere suggestion is that, go through the video once, twice, make a note, make notes on your own. So that would be helpful.
Yes, sure.
Ravi, what about you?
Yeah, sir. So in next class, we'll be using Jira tool as well to visualize it.
Not Jira tool now. Next class, we are going to write, the user story and the acceptance criteria.
Okay.
Tools would be of last.
Okay. And
Don't worry, Ravi, whatever been in the agenda, whatever I've showed you, I've passed on.
Yeah.
We are going to cover each and everything.
Okay. Perfect.
But the thing is that, why are we going in a slow pace? No matter, I do understand you have been working in the same process. I do understand, but end of the day, you need to brush up, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, this is good. No, this is fine.
And I require, one thing I'm going to give the feedback in the WhatsApp. So far, I request you people to log into that. I'll be sharing you the message through WhatsApp. If you have time tomorrow or the day after, please give your feedback about the course. I know it's only 2 days, but whatever you felt like, please give the feedback.
Yeah, sure.
Fine. I hope that would be on positive lens itself.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, obviously.
Because we are going to promote more aggressively.
Yeah, sure.
Fine. Somit, any doubt?
No, still not. I need to go deeply through the content. Right.
Yeah, I understand. It's very new to you. I understand it will take some time. But make sure to have daily reading. Daily spend some time, at least an hour.
Okay.
Okay. So anything, Ravi?
Okay, we will be dropping off. I'll be looking off.
So Monday, let's start at sharp 8 a.m. Okay.
Okay.
Fine.
Okay.
So let's freeze.
Thank you.
Our training time is from Monday on by sharp 8.
Okay, sure.
Thanks, guys.
On Monday, start at 2 p.m. Bye.
Sure. Bye. सोमित बाबू
हाँ.
बोलो तेरा क्या है तेरा वो क्या है आई मीन